Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. May 4th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services, cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
Live here on the great WRKO. Okay, we've got Scott Lively on in about 45 minutes. You don't want to miss it, my friends. We had him on a couple days ago. Really a great interview with him. He is now challenging Charlie Faker. He stunned the state Republican convention, winning nearly 30% of the delegates. Let me be candid. Had they not had these super delegates and put so much pressure on other delegates to vote for Baker and they refused a secret ballot, I think Lively would have won. I think he would have gotten a majority. He is a serious conservative, a genuine conservative. He's now challenging Baker in the Republican primary. All he needs now is to have 10,000 signatures certified, and then Baker is going to have a campaign of his life. And so we'll have him on at 2:45. Scott Lively will be in Worcester at the Worcester Town Hall, right at the very memorial where the Republican Party was born in Massachusetts. He will be there from 9 a.m. until 5. You can meet him, take a picture with him, a selfie. We need signatures. If we can make sure we have way over 10,000 so they can't disqualify enough of us to keep him off the ballot, then we are going to give Baker the campaign of his life, or at least Lively will. And I know much of Kuhner country is going to back Lively all the way. 617-266-6868. So we're going to have that for you at 2:45. But first, breaking news. As I talked about in the last hour, a federal judge, Judge T.S. Ellis, just gave it to Mueller's legal team with both barrels, saying that they have been perpetrating a fraud upon him and upon the court regarding their indictments of Paul Manafort, saying that they have lied to him. He is questioning whether they even have the authority to indict him. And they are saying that this is simply more, he's basically agreeing with Trump, that this is essentially a witch hunt in which they want to get Trump. They either want to prosecute Trump, his words, or impeach Trump. That's what this is all about. And now he's questioning whether Mueller even has the authority, is that he's exceeding his mandate to even go after Manafort. And so he has now smacked down Mueller's team and said, show me the scope memo. This is what the House Republicans want. This is what Rosenstein refuses to hand over. The scope memo is the actual memo written up by Rod Rosenstein when he appointed Robert Mueller as special counsel, which outlines the scope, quote unquote, the scope of Mueller's investigation. What he can investigate, what he can't investigate. What authority he has, what authority he doesn't have. What areas he can look into, what areas he can't look into. Rosenstein refuses to hand it over. Robert Mueller's team has now said they refuse to hand it over. The judge has now said, I want to see it in 2 weeks. You don't hand me the scope memo. Essentially, he's basically telling him, I'm going to drop all the charges. And so he is going to gut Mueller's investigation right there on the spot. Let me throw one more log, and then I want to take it to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. Stormy Daniels. Here is what I honestly think happened. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and whether you think this is enough to hang an impeachment on the president. What I think happened was very obvious. Like many powerful people, Trump had his own personal lawyer, i.e. Michael Cohen. He basically told Cohen, you handle all of these problems. You just handle it. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I don't want to deal with it. Before I'm running businesses, I got a TV show, I've got hotels. Then obviously I'm running a campaign. Look, Michael, you deal with this. Here's my retainer, or here's your retainer. $35,000 a month was the retainer. You need more, you ask for more, you don't need as much, fine. Here's $35,000. She comes along and essentially blackmails and tries to extort Donald Trump through his lawyer, Michael Cohen. Stormy Daniels says, I want an NDA. And I want, in the end, $130,000, or else I'm going to tell my story to the tabloids. So what Michael Cohen does is, okay, let me just silence her. Just shut her up. This one's annoying. We don't need this hassle. Boom. She agrees to a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, $130,000. And Trump's retainer, $35,000 a month, $35,000 a month. He eventually takes from that, and then that's how he gets reimbursed. And I've got to tell you, I know this for a fact. Many powerful people have told me this. A lot of times their lawyers even tell them, don't ask me what I'm using with the money, because you just don't really want to know about this. You don't need to know all the details. So I'm sure Michael Cohen said something like, look, that porn star, she wants the money, Donald. She keeps going on about this affair. I'm going to take care of it. Okay, Michael, you do what you got to do. Okay, just do what you got to do. Don't bother me with this stuff. And then I think what changed is the raid on Michael Cohen's office and home, where they got all of this attorney-client privileged information. And I'm positive that somebody leaked to the White House saying they're coming after you on the hush payment to Stormy Daniels. And you, Mr. President, said you knew nothing about it. You didn't know anything about the payment. Talk to Michael Cohen. And they're going to try to claim that you're lying. And Mueller is going to ask you about it. They're going to set you up for a perjury trap. And I think the president then said, with Giuliani's consent, both of them together, just get it out there. Okay, Michael Cohen paid her. I reimbursed her. There's no campaign finance violation. You can't get me on that technicality. You can't get Michael Cohen on that technicality. And you're not going to get me in some kind of a perjury trap. And I think that's where we are today. Now, if you watch CNN, if you watch MSNBC, if you read the Boston Globe, the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, if you listen to the Democrats and the resistance, the Moonbat base, they are now, all of them, like a chorus, like a bunch of zombies, in unison claiming that this amounted to a campaign finance violation. They say that that was an illegal hush payment to Stormy Daniels, and that this is now grounds to prosecute the president and to remove him from office under impeachment. So my question to you is this. Do you think that the American people will put up with an attempt to impeach the president and overturn an election based on a $130,000 payment to a washed-up porn star, according to her own admission, about a one-night stand, consensual, that occurred 12 years ago? My opinion, the American people are going to say, you are crazy. You. And this is going to blow up in the Democrats' face. Oh, I think they're going to go for impeachment. I think that's inevitable now. But will it work? I think it's going to blow up in their face. Agree, disagree. Do they have the grounds to get the president? And how do you feel about the revelation that Trump did reimburse his lawyer for a payment of $130,000 to Stormy? Are you disappointed in him, or do you just not care? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Arthur in Chestnut Hill, you're up next. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
No problem, Jeff. To begin with, the president is never going to be impeached. All this is about, while they're trying to prosecute Trump for nothing, we're not going after them for everything. Okay, this is all a stall until they take over the House, and then that's the end of the investigations. Right now, if you recall a call that I made to you several weeks ago when I went over what Andrew Wiseman had done, and when he went to court, he was overturned in the Supreme Court, and all about Mueller and his going after innocent people. And I said to you then, why aren't they in court going after these guys? Well, you know what? This is what happens when you're in the right. Trump's lawyers should have been in court like Manafort's lawyers, okay? And what made anybody on a Trump legal team, Jeff, think that they were going to get anything but what they're getting from Mueller? Because leopards don't change their spots. He's tried to convict innocent people, and his conscience didn't bother him. Okay, when 4 innocent people were in jail, and he knew they were innocent. You know something? This should wind up with criminal charges, disbarment from Mueller, Weissman, and all these people, okay? And the fact that this judge pointed out that they lied to the court, they don't want to show him that thing. That's why they don't want to show him the Pfizer warrants, because we know they lied on that. And put an end to this, okay? And if we love the president like we do, we ought to be on the phone every goddamn day to Washington, calling our reps and saying, get rid of these people and get rid of the special prosecutor. They are not above the law.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that call, Arthur. Look, Andrew Weissman is now Mueller's top prosecutor, his top attack dog. And look, Arthur's completely right. Just stand back. This is objectively, there's no denying this, okay? Robert Mueller, you want to see the kind of guy we're dealing with. This is the Boy Scout of America, although the Boy Scouts have now changed their name, but let that go, okay? The Boy Scout of America. In the Whitey Bulger investigation, he put in jail 4 innocent men. And the kicker is, he knew they were innocent. And it was only when a judge stepped in and overturned it and said, this is, you guys used evidence against him you had no business using, and they found exculpatory evidence. And even then, Robert Mueller refused to allow these people to get out of jail. 2 of them that he knew to be innocent ended up dying in jail until the judge finally stepped in and released the other 2. So what I'm trying to tell you is, and this is a matter of public record, when you're dealing with a man, a zealot, a fanatic, a thug, and that's what Mueller is, an egomaniac, who is willing to put 4 innocent men in jail, and even when it's revealed that they were innocent, that he made a massive prosecutorial blunder and engaged in massive misconduct, he does nothing as they rot in jail, and 2 of them end up dying in prison. And you want to sit down and talk with this guy? Mr. President, he's out to destroy you. That's like Abraham Lincoln wanting to sit down with John Wilkes Booth. No, he's an assassin. He wants to put the gun to your head, as he did on that stage after the Civil War. That's what he is. He's a modern-day political John Wilkes Booth. He's an assassin, Mr. President. Don't sit down with him, no matter what Giuliani or your lawyers tell you. Frank in Brookline, you're up next. Go ahead, Frank.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Frank?
I got a couple of ideas for the president, and it involves Mr. Mueller. First of all, with the current things that are coming out, I would tell Mr. Mueller, listen, I'm not going to fire you, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassign you. And your new reassignment will be this. Given the fact that Hillary Clinton has absconded with $180+ million in her service to the United States of America, I want you to investigate that. I want you to investigate it A to Z. And I want a report on my desk in 6 months. That will take a little of the pressure off Mr. Trump and his associates. Number 2, in the meantime, Judge Ellis, who seems to be real short on patience with Mr. Mueller and his tribe or his gang, I would take Mr. Giuliani and Mr. The Attorney General, Sessions, and I would have them go over to the judge, and I would have them press charges against Mr. Mueller and that crowd, and I would say that they are running and in charge of a criminal enterprise. That, Mr. Kuhner, would excite the judge to no end, and I would bet you, under no circumstances would Mr. Mueller want to continue on his witch hunt. That would be the end of it, all over, ad infinitum. Good night, Irene.
Frank, can I ask you a question, my friend?
Sure.
Your toilet is overflowing. There's only one plumber available that can come and unplug your toilet. His name is Robert Mueller.
Correct.
Would you hire him, Frank, or would you say, forget it, let the toilet keep overflowing?
Well, I would let Mr. Mueller, you know what I would let Mr. Mueller do? Recognizing that he's a plumber, you know what I'd do? I'd blow out the pilot in my kitchen stove, and I'd say, I got a problem here with the crapper, but I want you to go in, and I want you to see what's the matter with my stove first. And after 2 or 3 days of gas permeating in there, I'd be the one that would give him the lighter, and I'd say, listen, Mueller, let me know what's going on. And when I heard a thunderous bang, I would say, I think he's found the leak.
617-26. Honestly, I wouldn't let him clean my toilets, okay? That's how little I think of Robert Mueller. Never mind special counsel. Oh, please. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. Are you 225 here on the great WRKO. Okay. The liberal media, the Democrats are now saying they have grounds to impeach President Trump. I kid you not. It's because of a $130,000 hush payment that he admitted he reimbursed Michael Cohen for, which they say is a technical violation of campaign finance law, to Stormy Daniels, saying that he tried to cover up an affair, a one-night stand, that occurred 12 years ago. So my question to you is this. Do you think the president will be impeached on this? Do you think the American people will support it? And do you care that Trump, A, had a one-night stand, if he did, let's just assume he did, 12 years ago, and that he paid her off with $130,000? Is this enough, do you think, of a national security threat or a high crime and misdemeanor to justify overturning a duly elected president of the United States? CJ in Boston, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, CJ.
Thanks for taking the call, Jeff. On the Stormy Daniels issue, if the president did have an affair with her, I would go in front of the American people and say, look, I apologize for my lawyer having to reimburse her $130,000. To be quite honest, she wasn't worth $30. And how much is she getting now? On the issue of Mueller, on that FISA warrant, if it turns out that dossier was used to get that FISA warrant, would it not nullify any further investigation that Mueller is doing right now? And I just want to say one thing about those 4 gentlemen put in jail for 30 years.
Yes.
Mueller was the U.S. attorney in Boston. The FBI kept 4 innocent men in jail for 30 years. Now, I have a great respect for anyone in uniform. I don't care if they're in the military, if they're in the state police, if they're in the city police union, anyone, but they have to realize one thing. They are public servants. And I think that the FBI has come to a point whereas what Reagan did with the air traffic controllers, the people under Mueller are not coming forward to expose him for what he is. What I would do as the President of the United States, if it was at all feasible, I would put the U.S. Army intelligence units in charge of that type of security and investigation in this country, and I would abolish the FBI because they have shown their true colors. When a judge in any state can tell the President of the United States that has the authority to do what he has to do, whether it is in immigration or anything else.
The travel ban, yes, the travel ban.
The travel ban. When a judge can tell the President of the United States to do that, then we have a serious issue on our hands. We have a government in place right now that is doing more, along with the Democrats. The Democrats, they want open borders. Everything they want open. They want free. I don't want to get into the Bernie Sanders thing. Give everybody a government job. Sure, they become dependent, just like the illegals and people on welfare. Those are your votes. You have no platform to run on. That's why you are consistently losing, and the American people now are seeing that they are winning. They have pride in their country again. They have pride in their president. So if you're talking about a two-bit whore from wherever she's from, I'll tell you what, Donald Trump, to me, is more important than that $130,000, Jeff.
CJ, really well said. Thank you for that call. And let me just answer one point that you made. Brilliant on every point. We know, because people who saw the FISA search warrant, the surveillance warrant, they said it. The Steele dossier was the essence, the centerpiece of that application. So that's why they don't want us to see the application. That's why when Congress keeps demanding, show us the FISA warrant that you used to spy on Carter Page, to spy on the president, to spy on his inner circle. Show us that warrant. They don't want to hand it over because it's based on the Steele dossier, which, as we know, is bogus, which means then the whole basis for the Mueller investigation is dissolved. It's based on a pack of lies. That's why they're never going to hand it over. And that's why if I'm the president, I would say hand over everything. I mean everything. Let the American people see the truth, lift the veil of secrecy, expose all of the corruption. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Speaking of pride in America coming back, the Labor Department is now releasing unemployment numbers. The results are historically good. Nick Bovey has the breakdown in the WRKO newsroom. Nick, what are they, my friend? 2:35 here on the great WRKO. Okay, we'll continue to take your calls, I promise. 617-266-6868 is the number. We've got Scott Lively coming on in about, 10, 15 minutes. You don't want to miss that interview. But first, my friends, he joins us every week at this time. Good friend of mine. He is the co-host of the Kelly Financial Services Show, which you can hear right here on WRKO every Saturday, tomorrow, from 9 a.m. until noon. John Boudris. John, how are you today, my friend?
I am well, Jeff. I truly am. Just had lunch with an old friend, so I'm in a good mood.
John, I've got to ask you, what do you make of all the developments, the revelations that Trump did reimburse his lawyer $130,000, Michael Cohen, to have Stormy Daniels sign a non-disclosure agreement? And do you think now the mainstream media is going crazy? Is this a basis for a possible impeachment or prosecution of the President of the United States?
Well, in a real and a just world, of course not. But Mueller will do everything to get rid of President Trump. That's what his job is. In his view, that's what he's going to do. Robert Mueller, in my view, he's like the corrupt police captain McCluskey in The Godfather. Do you remember him?
Yes.
Yeah, he gets two in the hat in the little Italian restaurant. I mean, he is on a jihad for one reason. Is he and his whole cabal committed such crimes during the 8 years of Obama, while they presumed that Hillary Clinton would become the next president and no one would ever know about it. That's why they have to get Trump. This is a fight to the death. That's what's going on right here.
John, I'm just curious. Stormy's $130,000. Should she give Kelly Financial Services a call I mean, what do you recommend that she do with that $130K? Should she roll that into a Roth IRA? What would you advise her, John?
I would say definitely get it into the Roth IRA. No doubt about it. Well, that would be good. That would be a good one. You know what I think President Trump should do? And I say this in all seriousness. He should get a crackerjack television producer, produce a half-hour show that literally tells the story of what happened, beginning with Hillary Clinton's commissioning and funding of the bogus dossier, all the way through all of the corruption of Mueller. And right at the end of the show, he should look at a big portrait of Robert Mueller and then say, take the words out of my mouth now, you're fired. That's what he should do. And he could fund the wall via pay-per-view if he did that.
That is hilarious. John, I got to ask you, my friend, what's on tap for tomorrow's show? Last week's show was phenomenal as always. What do you have in store for the listeners?
Well, as you mentioned in your previous segment, your next guest will be coming on, Scott Lively, to talk a bit about the convention. I have Jeff Deal on tomorrow talking about the convention. He did get the GOP endorsement officially, which is good. And for the rest of the show, we're really going to be drilling down with all of the Kelly Financial vice presidents about the real nuts and bolts of why everyone needs a financial advisor. There are so many things that are moving parts today that weren't the case a generation ago. And it's really something that we all need help with that.
John, I know you guys got some wonderful events lined up. You're going to be hosting several informative dinner events. One is Thursday, May 24th at the Tuscan Kitchen in Burlington. Another one is Thursday, June 14th at the new Davio's in Braintree, right near, in fact, the home office. I am urging everybody out there, trust me when I tell you this, these are incredible events. You're going to have a great dinner. You're going to listen to some of the top tax, retirement, financial experts in the country. Call now. There are still a few reservations left. 888-800-1881. 888-800-1881. John, do you attend these events? And I've got to ask you, do you go for the steak?
I go for the steak rare when I can. When I can, yes. When I can. They are truly wonderful events. This one at Davio's is going to be great. It really is.
So I'm urging everybody, please call 888-800-1881. We are talking with John Boudris. He is the co-host of Kelly Financial Services Show. He's going to have a wonderful interview with Jeff Deal. Also very informative tomorrow. I'm urging all of you, please listen. It's a great show from 9 a.m. until noon every Saturday, tomorrow on WRKO. John, you sound great, my friend, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
You shall. Okay, say hi to the family.
I will. God bless you, John. Take care.
You too.
Connie in Charlestown. You're up next. Go ahead, Connie. Hello, Connie. Did we lose Connie? Okay, let's go to Tom in New Jersey. Tom, how are you, my friend? Tom. Hello? Okay, maybe the third time will be the charm. Jerry on the Cape. Go ahead, Jerry. Comrade, we finally made contact with somebody.
Hey, Kuhner, man, guess who this is, okay? I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. You watch the tape of Slick Willie like that. Jeff, federal judge T.S. Ellis III, the scope memo is going to be key. When that gets thrown out, Manafort's going to be exonerated. Ergo, Rick Gates will be exonerated. Ergo, General Flynn will be exonerated. It's going to be the death spiral of the special counsel, Jeff. And you know what else is coming out May 8th? IG Michael Horowitz's report. And the other thing people don't realize is, Jeff, John Huber has a staff of over 300 lawyers, and it has been since last July, looking into Russia collusion, the Uranium One scandal, as well as the Clinton Foundation. So everybody just relax and hang on to your hat. The president doesn't look worried at all. He doesn't look worried at all, Jeff.
Well, no. In fact, Jerry, just to reinforce what you're saying, he's now talking in Dallas in front of the NRA. He's laughing with the crowd. His massive audience. They're having fun going back and forth. He looks relaxed. Honestly, he looks like he doesn't have a care in the world.
Want to know something? I think what John Boudreaux just said about a TV show, we're watching it play out before our very eyes. That's what I believe. I believe we're seeing one thing here. And I've talked to friends of mine in the intelligence agencies, and they're laughing, eating popcorn over it. They said that the President Trump is playing the deep state like a cheap fiddle. That's what they told me, all four of them. They said there's nothing to worry about here. The president's got this. He's got General Flynn. He's got Admiral Rogers. He's got all the military men with him. He's got General Nakasone. He's all set, Jeff.
Thank you, comrade. I appreciate it. Look, I think it's a fight to the finish. I think John Boudreaux is 1,000% correct. This is a political death struggle. And in the end, if it's Mueller versus Trump, my money's on Trump. I think Trump will eventually prevail. Now, how long the battle takes, how bloody the battle is, that depends. But I think in the end, it is very hard to frame an innocent man when he has so many Americans backing him. Kuhner country, we are the tip of the spear. And I'm telling the deep state, you go after President Trump, you're going to have to deal with middle America. And Kuhner country is going to be leading the charge. Hands off our president. Connie in Charlestown, you're up next. Go ahead, Connie.
How are you, Jeff?
Connie.
Jeff, thank you for taking my call, sir. It's an honor to speak with you.
My pleasure, Connie.
Okay, Jeff. Jeff, you know something? First of all, you have to remember, right? When you're talking about liberals, the usual suspects, Pelosi, Reid, Schumer, Rangel, you know the whole bunch. Jeff, you're talking about the most corrupt, dishonest, immoral, unethical people on the face of the earth. Corrupt as the day is long. Jeff, I just want to talk about the hypocrisy for a second. Why is it a scandal and a 6-month-long story on MSNBC and CNN when a private citizen, Mr. Trump, has consensual sex with a woman? Where's the crime? What's the scandal there, Jeff? But now, Jeff, they won't touch with a 10-foot pole. All right? Bill Clinton getting on that pervert Jeffrey Epstein's plane and going to that island to have sex with underage girls. You know, Jeff, I talked to more people, and everybody knows who Stormy Daniels is. She's been on CNN 59 times, Jeff. Everybody knows who she is. But you'd be shocked, Jeff. Nobody that I talked to has ever even heard of that story about Jeffrey Epstein and the underage girls. And I tell them, because the corrupt, dishonest, liberal media, they control the narrative. You know what they want you to know, and they will bury that story. Any story that makes a Democrat look bad, they're going to bury, Jeff. Like I said, not to be redundant, dishonest, corrupt, immoral, unethical people, Jeff. And we must, Jeff, take this country back. And he has to fire Jeff Sessions right now, put Giuliani in there, and start going after them, Jeff.
I'm with you. Connie, I'm with you. I agree with you. Look, I'm done with, and thank you for that call. I'm done with Jeff Sessions. I would get rid of him, replace him with Giuliani, get a real attorney general, and start cleaning house. Okay, speaking of cleaning house, it is time for us to clean house here in Massachusetts. Finally, there is a serious conservative challenger who now wants to go up against Charlie Baker, the Republican rhino establishment, and the entire liberal media class. We've got him on next for another exclusive Newsmaker interview. Dr. Scott Lively. You don't want to miss it. He's up next. Don't touch that dial. 250 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, joining me now is Dr. Scott Lively. We had him on for an hour in-studio interview a couple days ago. He has stunned the political and media establishment in the state. Just last weekend, he won nearly 30% of the state Republican delegates at the Republican convention. He now needs our help to make sure that he is firmly on the ballot to challenge Rhino Republican Governor Charlie the Faker Baker. Dr. Lively, thank you so much for coming back on the Kuhner Report.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
So, Dr. Lively, obviously, I want to get people to join you tomorrow for to get signatures. But just for people who are hearing you now for the first time, what do you say to the argument? You're a conservative. You're a Trump conservative. What chance do you have of winning the Republican primary against Baker? And what chance do you have of becoming governor of Massachusetts? What do you say to their argument? You've got no chance, so why bother?
Well, that's what they said about Donald Trump. And I want to be the Donald Trump of Massachusetts. I believe Charlie Baker is being propped up by the leftist media. I think the poll numbers is a total scam and a sham. And I think he's extraordinarily vulnerable. It's possible that I could have even won the nomination at the convention if it hadn't been for the superdelegates and the fact that they don't allow a secret ballot. And Charlie was arm twisting the entire day, basically threatening people not to vote for Scott Lively, and sort of coercive kind of rhetoric and attitude. And I had people come up to me, state committee people, saying that they wanted to vote for me, but they were afraid because it wasn't a secret ballot. So anyway, and in the general election, the Democrats have put forward the weakest field in my lifetime. Three of them, the strongest of the three, has dropped out. And so I think that the general election is probably going to be easier than the Republican primary.
Dr. Lively, let me ask you this point blank. Do you see your candidacy in some ways as also a vehicle for conservatives, populists, patriots, constitutionalists, independents who are sick and tired of the liberal political and media establishment, the ruling class, who have now given conservatives really nothing over the last God knows how many decades? And what you're essentially saying is it's time for conservatives to take back the Republican Party. Am I wrong?
Not just the Republican Party, but the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This was a conservative Republican state years ago. When I was born in 1957, completely different place. We had traditional values. We had security, prosperity, and the left has destroyed all of that. This isn't just a Massachusetts phenomenon. It's not just an American phenomenon. It's a global phenomenon where conservatives and populists are rising up against the elites and saying we are not going to accept this globalist, totalitarian mindset that's top-down control. We want our state back. We want our nation back, and we are not going to stop until we get it.
Dr. Lively, what do you think Charlie Baker's greatest defects, what do you think are his greatest flaws as governor? Why should Republicans support you over him?
Well, because he's a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He shouldn't be in the Republican Party. People that hold his views and values used to actually be we can't see anything in Charlie Baker that we don't see in the Democrats. He's just a Democrat in Republican clothing, and he's betrayed the conservatives across the board: pro-life, Second Amendment, fiscal issues, social issues, constitutional issues, and frankly, he's a tremendous disappointment. And I thought in 2014, once he got in, he might do something positive, even though he was a pro-abort. He might do something positive, but he hasn't. He's just pandered to the left. He's given the Democrats everything that they want. That's why they love him so much. And that's got to stop. We have to stop moving to the left and start moving back to the right in Massachusetts, or we're going to lose the whole thing.
Dr. Lively, correct me if I'm wrong. You look at Charlie Baker. He is, as you say, a rhino Republican through and through. Under his watch, the MBTA has gotten worse. DCF has gotten worse. The opiate crisis has gotten worse. Illegal immigration, sanctuary cities has gotten worse. Welfare fraud and abuse has gotten worse. The massive corruption within the state has gotten worse. Government spending has gone up and up and up. You have the transgender bathroom bill. You have his push for gun control. Correct me if I'm wrong. He may have an R next to his name, but what's the difference between him and Deval Patrick?
Yeah, there isn't any difference, and that's the problem. Politicians pander. They tell people what they want to hear. Statesmen tell them what they need to hear, and they stand for truth and values, even at a time when those things are not necessarily palatable for a lot of the people because of leftist media control. But, the truth resonates with people, and it resonates with the average voter out there. And when they have an opportunity to hear somebody speak just plain, simple truth, without, posturing, without equivocating, without, making it politically correct, it's just like a breath of fresh air, and they get excited about it. That's why so many people came out of the woodwork for Donald Trump. And frankly, that's always been my style. I speak plain truth. I've taken tremendous abuse for it in 30 years of ministry as a Christian social activist. And now I bring that principled, unwavering, full-spectrum conservative perspective into the political arena. That's why I got almost a third of the votes in the Republican convention, and that's what is going to help to rebuild the Ronald Reagan coalition that can take the state back from the left.
Dr. Lively, I said this on Wednesday. I'm going to say it again. I back you 100%. I think Baker has betrayed the Republican Party. I think he has betrayed Republican voters. Frankly, I think he's betrayed the people of Massachusetts. And I think you have a realistic shot, a real shot at dethroning Baker in this primary. And that's why he's afraid. And the entire corrupt political and media class in this state is afraid. And so tomorrow,
Jeff, I got to get my signature.
You've got to get your signature. So we've got about a minute and a half left. How can people come out to make sure you get way over 10,000 signatures to put you on the ballot? What can they do?
Well, send me an email, votelively@gmail.com, and I will forward you the sheet, how to help, 5 or 6 different ways, where our signature collectors are going to be, how you can print out a form yourself and just sign it and take it into the town clerk. We're close to being able to get over the hump, but we are not quite there. And it's really crunch time, and we really need the help. And I know you have a massive conservative support base out there. I've seen it. And this listening audience can actually make the difference and can actually be the thing that puts a real, authentic conservative on the ballot in Massachusetts for the first time in I don't know how many years.
Dr. Lively, we've got literally 40 seconds left. Tomorrow you will be in Worcester at the Worcester Town Hall from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., right beside the memorial where the Republican Party was born in Massachusetts. Can people show up there to get signatures and take pictures with you? 10 seconds.
Yes, absolutely. Come out to Worcester Town Hall tomorrow, 9 to 5 Saturday, and meet me, sign the petition, take petitions out, and this is a historic day.
To everybody out there in Kuhner country, I urge all of you.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. 888-800-1881. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services. The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.
Gun rights are safe during the Trump administration.